and just tell me great. Okay. Welcome tonight to so many of you calling in. It's a pleasure to see your happy faces. And we do have a great call tonight. I'm very excited about it. And I'll introduce myself for those of you coming in on this call that have not met me, but I'm Gretchen Comstock. I live in Essex, Connecticut, and I'm a national marketing director with the Juice Plus company and have been with the company now for 15 years. And I love Juice Plus, the products, and I adore sharing it with others. And that's basically my story. And what's exciting about tonight is that we have new people on who have just started Juice Plus products. We might have some prospects that are taking a look at the product. We also have some many distributors, representatives of our product who are listening in, because all of us get questions asked by people who are being introduced to Juice Plus. And it's my pleasure to say that we have Dr. Candace Corson on tonight. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her before we begin, who will be answering questions. And let me just preface this a little bit. There are over 25 questions on my piece of paper. There are a lot of questions that are asked, and I'm going to do my best to get through them. So is Candace, but I don't want to cut you off, Candace, on anything. If you're on a roll because you want people to hear something, go ahead. This wouldn't necessarily be the way you would answer these questions. Pick and choose what sounds right. But now remember, we're speaking to a professional. She's going to try to keep it probably for the lay person too. And also know this, I'm going to ask her the question as though I was the prospect or the customer. And I'm going to let her answer the question the way she would answer it. And I'm not going to be able to respond because we wouldn't have time for that. Most times this is going to sound a little peculiar to you because I'm not going to be responding to her, which is kind of weird. We're not going to do that because I want to get through the questions, but you know as well as I, when we're in conversation with people about things that they're starting to understand or don't understand and want to understand, we understand through conversation, but we won't have that kind of experience here. So it all depends on the circumstances too, in which how these questions are answered. So I could ask a question and Dr. Corson can answer it in one way, but if she didn't ask more questions to me, she might not be answering my questions. But I think these questions are pretty common ones that we get a lot. And there's really just, a couple of answers to them, or maybe one answer. All right, let me tell you about Dr. Candace Corson. She received both her undergraduate college degree and her medical degree from Yale University, right down the street from where I live. She completed her residency in family medicine at the University of Rochester in New York, and she and her husband, Dr. George Knowles, both served as a non-commissioned officers in the United States Public Health Service in rural North Carolina. Dr. Corson later went into integrative medicine after studying nutritional therapy to help patients recover much better from chronic illness like asthma and autoimmune disorders. And those are chronic illnesses that we see and hear about all the time. She is a national health educator on nutrition and health recovery and environmental illness. Dr. Corson resides in Indianapolis with her husband, George Knowles, and Dr. George Knowles. And also, he is also a retired physician and currently teaching in medical education. And they also have I know they're proud parents of 4 wonderful sons and grandparents, I think 2 or 3. I'm not sure about that, but at least 2, I think. Okay, so I am going to start, and I'm going to pretend that these are my personal questions that I'm asking, and it's shorter that way. So, Dr. Corson, are you ready?
Yes, I'm right here, Gretchen.
Okay. So here's my first question. I have a fairly good diet. I eat lots of fruits and vegetables, so I'm not sure that I need this supplement.
I felt that way 25 years ago when a good friend called me to tell me that Juice Plus had just emerged into the marketplace, and that's the first I heard of it. That's a pretty wonderful record, by the way. 25 years of Juice Plus nutrition being used by so many people across the United States and Canada and 25 other countries, and soon to be more countries. But when I first heard that, I felt the same way, so I know how people feel. But the fact is that we have a perfect storm happening now across the world, and that is toxicity that has never been seen before. The level of toxicity is rising from hundreds of thousands of foreign to nature chemicals, which some people call xeno molecules, meaning foreign to nature, contaminants. And these are foreign to nature. They did not exist with our ancestors. And at the same time, we have a weaker food stream in terms of nutrient protection, in terms of fresh, all the way mature, wide variety of plant foods. And for that reason, we do have the perfect storm of chronic illness and acute illness, bad infections and so forth. And it's an epidemic. Things are rising, like autoimmune illness and cancer and diabetes. So for those reasons, we actually need to go from the best we can do today in terms of wide variety of produce every day to where our body really needs. And that's what Juice Plus is filling, bridging the gap. So I'm never about convincing anyone, but it really turns out to be true that if you add more variety of plants of very high quality, you actually get more benefit to the human body at all stages of life, from pregnancy through old age.
Well, you've talked me into it, but it seems like it's on the expensive side.
I think one of the best things about Juice Plus is that it's actually very economical. I never argue with people, but if you look at what you can do with the Duo, the vegetable and fruit blends, that's giving you 20 species. It's not instead of eating. I think we said that already. It's bridging the gap from the very best you can do to where we really need to be, closer to where we need to be today. But if you look at those 20 species that are in the vegetable and the fruit blend, and giving that to a parent and their child for free, the child being free in our family health study, you're looking at $1.38 a day, $1.38 for both people, the parent and the child, to get that rainbow of concentrated nutrition from 20 species. You can't even get a good organic apple pesticide-free for that cost. So I think looking at it that way and putting it into the food budget is the way that we do and share with our friends. We actually put it into our food budget when I finally saw the merit for helping our children once their school had gotten vending machines, and I saw the huge change in their health, degradation of their resilience and their immune function, an increase in inflammation and asthma, which my kid had never had before. Once I saw that, we decided to put Juice Plus into our food budget. So what we did is take out beverages that weren't water and so-called healthy snacks from the health food store, and Juice Plus went into our food budget as something we valued more highly than those other things that were not making our kids stronger. So it's all about getting a chance to see it in perspective, but it's a great question.
Okay, can I just buy 1 month to see how I do with it instead of the 4 months?
Juice Plus does ship in a 4-month amount, and I love that there's a perfect refund return policy for those who change their mind. Usually we see that in people who gift it maybe to grandma and she's not understanding that and, you know, changes her mind or doesn't want that. And there is a perfect refund policy. But if you so-called try it for a month, your body's going to start using it day one, but it doesn't really do the person or the product justice. We know that immune studies that have been done by multiple universities show that around the 90-day mark, so a good 3 months, there's a distinct improvement in immune function in human beings at various ages. So if you're using it for a month, you're cheating yourself really to see what you're going to find in a month. It'd be like having super excellent salads every day, multiple salads, and at a month you decide, you know, it's not worth it. You don't see anything yet. It's really over time that the human body is able to make the most out of this nutrition.
And I am so curious, how many servings of fruits and vegetables are there in those capsules?
Well, you know, there's a range. If you're using the trio, which is the berry blend, the veggie blend, and the fruit blend, that's 30 species of concentrated nutrition. And we do not, specifically on purpose, we do not equate that with servings. It's not exactly the same. There are a lot of things that are just amazing about Juice Plus in terms of being concentrated, in terms of being grown all the way to peak maturity, very different from the produce that we get at the grocery store. We need to eat that produce at the grocery store. It is necessary, but it's no longer sufficient for many reasons. So Juice Plus is concentrating the essence of these 30 species, but we specifically do not and will not equate it with servings, because we're actually teaching to eat more servings of veggies and fruits and berries and plants. And it's interesting that most people find, whether they're kids or adults, that after they're using Juice Plus consistently for a matter of weeks or months, they're actually eating more produce than before, because their body, their metabolic programming has improved. That's very well documented. And even in pregnancy, there are studies, not Juice Plus studies, but studies around the world, that if moms are eating a wide variety of plant materials during pregnancy, their children, after they're born and as they're starting to eat other foods besides nursing, they want that wider variety. So metabolic programming improves, and people actually want to eat more produce than they were eating before. So it's a win-win. It's a holistic stepping stone.
I have to swallow a lot of pills because of some of my chronic diseases, and I'm just not sure I can even imagine swallowing more.
A lot of people would agree with you. That's a very common situation, and I have a lot of personal experience with that within my family. So the capsules are actually quite easy to open for most people. They're not sealed, and they're easy to open. And so it can be done, that if a person knows enough about why Juice Plus is going to benefit them, if they knew what I knew, they would open the capsules. There's also the children's chewable form, which can be used for adults just in a double amount, because it's half strength, if you will. It takes 2 chewables to equal 1 capsule. But the best nutritional possible pathway would be to open the capsules. And I'll give you an example. We had, for almost half a year, my mother-in-law living with us, and she'll be back soon. She's visiting another part of the family. But she came to us on 10 prescription drugs. And good doctors, you know, they're just busy and stressed, and this is our system today. But she really was over-medicated. And what we did is start her on Juice Plus. Now, she had been near family members who love her very much and are on Juice Plus, but because of what you just said, so many capsules, pill boxes just full of, the 4 daily pill boxes full of meds, she could not imagine swallowing those capsules. So for all the 10 years she was in the care of other family who valued Juice Plus, she wasn't on it because of that very thing. But when she got to us, she was really needing a change in her physiology to keep going. And what we did is we opened the capsules. We put the vegetable capsules into soups. We put the berry and the fruit capsules into applesauce or yogurt. And we did that until she was not only better from all kinds of things, but was off of 7 of the 10 medications. And she's left with 3 that make sense. One is thyroid hormone replacement, which I don't even consider to be a drug. It's thyroid hormone replacement. And that's all she's on. And now her pill box is actually full of Juice Plus, and she takes it faithfully every day, including the Omega blend. So opening the capsules, if there's someone to do it for them, or if they're into smoothies, or if they can find a way, or using the chewables, it's very understandable to have pill fatigue. And that's why I love our complete protein, totally vegetable-based, plant-based protein shakes, because if people love those, they can open the capsules into that.
Okay, speaking of complete, maybe I'll just go on to that while people are thinking, what is that Juice Plus Complete? So I am a cancer survivor, breast cancer survivor, and I've been told to stay clear of soy, and I know that the Complete has a blend, and part of that protein is soy.
Mm-hmm. So, sometimes we're told things that aren't exactly up to date. So I'm not criticizing anyone, but when a person is facing, the rest of their life, to make it as long and as viable and marvelous as possible, most of us are then very motivated to find out more, because we may have many, many, many years of good life to live. And what we eat is very important. So what we know to be true is that larger, more recent and good studies show that there's actually an anti-cancer effect of soy. Now we're talking about non-genetically modified, non-GMO soy, and especially the kind that's used in Juice Plus Complete, that protein smoothie. It is water washed only, no chemicals. There's no chemical processing. But bottom line is that soy, there's been a lot of misinformation and disinformation about soy, and it's actually an anti-cancer food for most people. There's a lot of research in animals and in people showing that there's a lowering of the risk of breast cancer, and specifically in breast cancer survivors, if they're eating non-genetically modified and native, ancient soy, they're actually lowering their risk of breast cancer recurrence. So I have a friend who's a biologist, very highly educated breast cancer survivor, and she specifically is eating soy for that very reason, to reduce her risk of recurrence. So the person may want to rethink their information if they're open and learning some more.
And I love the taste of Complete, but I read the label and it seems like it has too much sugar in it, and I'm trying to cut down on my sugar.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's really smart for people to be cutting down on any kind of refined processed sugar. It's really interesting to note. I mean, my question would be, would you be comfortable eating half of an apple? A good clean apple, would you be comfortable eating that? Because half of an apple would be the amount of sugar content of a serving of Complete. So it's 10 milligrams, or 10 grams of sugar, and it's a natural organic cane. It's there to make it palatable, and it's combined with lots of excellent fiber. It's actually a high fiber, low glycemic smoothie. So it's equivalent, and if you want to look at the sugar content, of half an apple. And when people put it in context, it makes more sense.
Okay, I have an autoimmune disease, and I know Juice Plus will boost my immune system, and I have to keep it. So I have to suppress it. So what's that going to do to me?
Well, actually, it's not about boosting. It's about balancing. Really big difference. So it would be as if a person said, be sure you don't eat any salads, don't eat any apples, don't eat any carrots. It's really what we're saying if we're saying don't eat Juice Plus. It's wonderful for human beings, whether they're transplant recipients or not. It's not going to interfere with suppressive, immunosuppressive meds are not interfered with fruits and vegetables. And yet there's a better ability to fight infection, which is terribly important in human beings, and especially in those who have any kind of health challenge, including transplant. So there are many, many transplant patients who have been using Juice Plus as part of their nutritional rainbow for many years, and very successfully so. It's not a boost, it's a rebalance.
And I'm on a blood thinner called Coumadin, and I've been told not to eat a lot of leafy green vegetables.
Mm-hmm. Juice Plus is used extremely successfully also and safely with Coumadin. It's not a contraindication at all. And actually, my husband and I wrote a little article about that to make it easy for the person and their physician to put that all in perspective. So it's very safe and really smart to use Coumadin. Anyone who's on Coumadin has a reason why they're on it, and it's good to be less inflamed, because inflammation, which is systemic and circulatory, is what sets people up for abnormal clotting in the first place. So it's absolutely safe and fine to use Juice Plus with Coumadin. And actually, if people are being super careful, which I always think that's good, they can have their test for that measured once a week for about 3 weeks. It's interesting, it rarely changes. And sometimes it even changes a little bit in the opposite direction from what you would guess. But it just is not a problem, and it works very safely in people who are on Coumadin. It's a very tiny amount of vitamin K, very tiny, and it's the same every day. And it's only in the vegetable blend anyway, but it works really well with Coumadin.
I have some serious digestion issues, gut issues that I'm being treated for. And I can't eat a lot of fruits and vegetables because of it. It just gets me uncomfortable. And I'm wondering what Juice Plus will do if I start taking Juice Plus.
Yeah, so Juice Plus is actually pre-digested by the very profound grinding process. It's very intentional. So the vegetables and the fruits and the berries are grown by small farmers. I love that. It's small farmers, not big agribusiness. And most of them are single crop experts. They're growing one crop, and that's what they really know. That's what they really do. So cranberry farmers, kale farmers, orange farmers. And when they harvest that at the peak of ripeness, which is extremely different from our produce at the store, which has to be harvested way too early. So it's weak in nutrition and it's transported 1, 2, 3,000 miles. In contrast to that, Juice Plus, though that produce is grown all the way to peak of maturity. And our company buys that entire crop from that farmer as long as it's top quality. So the farmers they know that what they're involved in, they know they're involved in producing it. It's extremely high, really the premier nutraceutical in the world. And I will say that in terms of purity, in terms of these 25-year relationships with multiple excellent farmers on their own land. And then testing pesticide-free, herbicide-free, heavy metal-free, the list goes on. But bottom line, that produce is picked at the peak of ripeness. It is clean, and then it is crushed, the entire thing. So the orange, the peel, the seeds, the grape, the peel, the seeds, the whole thing. And that's a kind of nutrition that's very intense and very useful for the human body. But then it's crushed, it's ground very, very finely. And so even people with Crohn's disease or other digestive problems that are very significant, they can use it and benefit from it. And I've seen just remarkable improvement after remarkable improvement. It's almost 20 years now that I've been sharing Juice Plus, watching just wonderful. I know that only good things are going to happen, and profoundly good things. So it's absolutely beneficial. This is the food that the good germs need in our intestine. And I would refer people who want to learn more to our wonderful non-commercial website, which I just love. And that is www.healthylivingrevolution. That's all one word, healthylivingrevolution.com. And on there are at least 26 now different healthcare professionals who have left high quality, without being paid anything, high quality educational videos going into depth on many subjects like eye health from an eye surgeon, bariatric health. Mine that I was asked to do, and Gretchen, you and I did that together, is called Feeding the Good Guys, the microbiome. And I've had so much positive feedback from that, people experiencing tremendous education and hope from that, lots and lots of hope, because they're realizing as we feed those good germs, and by the way, they are vegan, they eat plants. We don't necessarily, all of us have to be strict vegan, but we have to feed enough large rainbow on a consistent basis of plant materials, good quality plant materials, many different species, in order to feed those good germs, especially in today's world, because those germs are under assault from before birth, from the things that happen to the mommies environmentally, through all stages of life. Antibiotics in our food stream, fed to the animals, antibiotics that are used because people are deemed to be sick enough many times to use antibiotics on a pretty frequent basis. Heavy metals, glyphosate, which is listed as an antibiotic, that's the active component of Roundup, and so forth. And so because of the big problems now in suppressing healthy gut flora, we have now a burgeoning epidemic of autoimmune illnesses, over 100 of them, so-called, named different names. And it's in a way that's really mind-boggling to watch over the last 45 years since I started my medical training. But bottom line, the most important thing to do is to add a very wide rainbow of plant materials. And it can be done, even with a sick intestine, as long as people are able to eat anything, most people will tolerate, and they will all benefit if they're able to get this into their system because it is pre-digested.
I frequently get terrible colds, especially during the winter and when I'm traveling. And last year I had a lie down and die flu. Will Juice Plus help me during this season?
Well, it certainly helped me and everyone that I know. You know, every person's body knows what to do with this nutrition. And the studies that have been done, there are multiple studies on immune function, all show tremendous benefit to better immune function in human beings, in the elderly, in the young, and specifically looking at respiratory infections. The largest public hospital in Europe, in Germany, has shown that there is, and these were inpatient, the staff, the health professionals working in a large public hospital, Charité Hospital in Germany, that they absolutely did have less frequent and less severe respiratory infections. So it just stands to reason. These good germs in our intestine, the microbiome, they are the thermostat for our immune function. They are our immune system. They're not just good for us, they're not optional. And so as they are in a better array of better numbers, they should be in the many trillions of the good germs, many species, they actually help us fight all the things that we need to fight, and yet at the same time bring down inappropriate inflammation so we're not fighting the wrong things, as in autoimmune illness. So yes, it's a really good idea. It's the best stepping stone I know to getting more resilient health and a better immune balance.
I have food allergies to some of the Juice Plus ingredients, and I'm not sure what to do about that.
The one kind of food allergy that I would say would be a contraindication would be a true history of anaphylaxis to a specific component. The most common one would be pineapple. And those people know who they are. If they've needed adrenaline for eating pineapple in the past, then I would suggest doing the veggie blend and the berry blend, doing those two blends. And their representative can certainly help them get an all vegetable box instead of fruit and vegetable. But for the most part, unless it's been a history of anaphylaxis, that's the severe, sudden, kind of allergic reaction that requires a shot of adrenaline or epinephrine, same thing. I really have found that people not only tolerate Juice Plus, but actually over time, kind of conventional food sensitivities tend to get better because the gut is actually getting repaired better flora, better gut function over time, and therefore less of a tendency for food intolerances. So I think it's something that can be very useful for people. I just avoid the ones where there's a clear history of anaphylaxis in the past.
Do I need to take a prenatal during my pregnancy if I'm loading up with Juice Plus?
Juice Plus can be used with or without a prenatal vitamin. It's really a much broader and a much more proven way of nourishing the human body. The doctor's recommendation, we never interfere with that. If a person wants to use their prenatal vitamins, if they tolerate them and they feel great about that, I would just suggest if it was someone in our family, they would add Juice Plus as well. There are many people I know who are OBGYNs, and for their own pregnancy, they use Juice Plus with or without prenatal vitamins. It's interesting that there's no study published in English that I'm aware of showing scientific benefit of prenatal vitamins. I'm not here to knock any other thing, but just to say that vitamins would be like using a few nails to build a house instead of every single thing you need for the house. The foundation needs, I like to say it's designer food created by the same designer that designed our body. It's so complex. That's why whole food nutrition is what's recommended today instead of vitamins by anyone who has studied the subject. But it's certainly safe to also add Juice Plus to any vitamin regimen because it's food. It's never going to cause toxicity.
And how old can my child be, my baby be, when I start introducing Juice Plus?
6 months old is a very good age. We start all the babies in our family at 6 months old or when they're starting baby food. So some children don't want to start baby food at 6 months, and I say, great, don't start till they're ready. There's no reason to hurry. Some babies start at 6 months, 7 months. whenever they're starting baby food, in addition to nursing, that's when we would open the capsules and put that dried powder produce in the baby food. And that's what we do. We've done that with all of our grandchildren. We use an entire capsule for them, but certainly a family that wants to be extremely economical could easily get away with a half a capsule a day of each blend. And it's just pennies a day. I love that about it. It makes a big difference. And some families just use the veggie and the fruit blend because of the economic ease of doing that. In our family, we use all three blends for our babies: berry blend, veggie blend, and fruit blend. We use a whole capsule starting at 6 months old. But as I say, half a capsule, even a third a capsule, it's useful and it's beneficial.
And now just a little bit on the omega-3 blend that we have. I take a pharmaceutical grade omega, and I don't understand why I would need to change over to the Juice Plus omegas.
Mm-hmm. Well, you would change over it just if it makes sense to you. What I can tell you is that more and more people who have been paying close attention and studying the subject are going away from fish oil. There are multiple reasons, but the biggest one, the two biggest ones are, one, it's unsustainable what we're doing to the ocean and the fish population. Completely unsustainable. But if you just want to, if we want to be selfish and just talk about our species, then what I would say is that all of those from fish are contaminated, all of them. PCBs, mercury, dioxin, the list goes on. Anything we put on our lawns ends up in the ocean and is concentrated in the fish. And there are a lot of good companies that have been struggling to purify those fish oils. And, you know, that makes sense, except that in order to purify, you have to apply heat. And when you apply heat to omegas, you instantly cause damage. So now you're taking in free radicals. They're lipid peroxides. Bottom line, go to the plant source. The fish do not make omega-3. They concentrate it from the base of their diet, which is algae in the ocean and water plants in the freshwater fish. And so if you go to the plant sources, there are some good land plants that are very high in omega-3, good blends of the natural omega-3, 5, 6, 7, 9. That's where we choose to get our omegas, and we are using the omega blend in our family. It was years in the making of the Juice Plus omega blend. I think it's absolutely brilliant, and in fact, person after person, whether they're adult or children, we have been seeing wonderful benefits to that person. So I like to go clean, and I like to go low on the food chain, and that's why we go to the plant sources.
I'm thinking of not continuing with Juice Plus because I haven't noticed anything different.
Well, yeah, I always say to people, whatever makes sense to you, I love you no matter what you decide. It's your body, it's your intuition. What I can tell you from what I know to be true is that we never feel cancer cells starting. We never feel that first mutation. You don't feel that. You don't feel plaque developing and inflammatory damage to your blood vessels. And we know from some of the very elegant ultrasounds that can now be done, that are done many times in pregnancy, they're actually seeing coronary artery disease in the babies that are not born yet, because that's how good the images are on ultrasound today. And there's no genetic problem with those babies. It's environmental assault that's happening on our population. And I'm not saying it's on purpose, it's inadvertent, but it's still an assault. So the body doesn't like this. And it's all about inflammation, oxidation, and damage. And so we don't feel that. A person who comes in with a big heart attack at 40 or 60, they did not feel anything. If they were having angina, that's one thing, but again, it didn't start at that time. The heart attack does not start at the moment of the heart attack. The damage is occurring silently for year after year after year. And that's really where Juice Plus comes in. It's improving human physiology. So I think that's why I want it in my body. And I think, one of the biggest fears that a lot of people have, reasonably so, is the Alzheimer's, becoming incapacitated. And this is a gigantic epidemic in our country today. I have a special interest in it because I have multiple family members who have had Alzheimer's and died with that. I have a cousin dying now of Alzheimer's. And, you know, we know that if you are using broad spectrum nutrition that includes the berries in particular, but all of that good plant nutrition, you're dropping, if you look at large studies, you're dropping your risk. The more plant-based you go, the lower your risk of Alzheimer's, heart disease, cancer, diabetes, the list goes on. So these are things that, you know, of course, that's my area of expertise. My entire life has been spent looking at this. And that's why I think adding this economical nutrition to improve human physiology, and by the way, the studies on Juice Plus are more than any other nutraceutical or any pharmaceutical, 40 published clinical studies in top journals, not done by the company, done by major university faculty and hospital centers around the world. All of it is showing improvement in the deeper function of the human body. And that's the name of the game. You can't address these things successfully once there's a lot of damage to an organ. It's best to address it as early as you know about it, as early as it makes sense.
So if Juice Plus is so good, why don't more doctors, even the holistic or integrative doctors, you know, nutritionists, et cetera, recommend it?
Well, I do know a lot who do, and of course they're my dear friends because it's been 18 years of awesome, you know, conferences and spending quality time together and staying in touch on Voxer and learning from each other. So I know many who do. But I also know, and this is a very interesting question, a lot of health professionals who are on Juice Plus every day and choose never to stop it. I know these personally. I have many customers who are medical people, cardiologists, ophthalmologists, eye surgeons, and so forth. They plan to never be off of it, and they're not recommending it to patients. And I don't critique them. I would just say the biggest fear that most health professionals have, especially the MDs, and this is from my years of experience, the biggest fear is that of ostracism and criticism from their colleagues. And it's fear. You know, if you're looking at personal development, personal growth, there's something called looking good. That's a term from Landmark, but we're always trying to look good. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. We're trying to look good to each other. And so if you're in a fear-based culture, which is medicine, and I'm not criticizing, I'm just calling it like it is, there is fear of making a mistake, fear of being called out, whatever it is. It's just, they have enough stress in their life as it is. And they also, for the most part, have no nutrition education. There's no foundation in nutrition in medical school or residency. It's starting to change at a few institutions like the Cleveland Clinic, but the vast majority have zero nutrition education, which is a tragedy. It's the way it is. And so what we're about is just educating, offering education, loving people where they are, taking them where they want to go. And if you don't have the nutritional foundation and you don't have any extra space in your brain and your life to handle new concepts, it's really a lot to ask of somebody to step out there. So I hope that makes sense. That's really the lay of the land.
Definitely. And we'll end with this. I've been taking Juice Plus for 4 months. I have more energy, better digestion. I sleep more soundly than I ever have before. I feel more clear-headed since starting with my Juice Plus. What's up with that?
Oh, well, congratulations. You're having plant nutrition helping your body do what it needs to do. And that's the plan of nature. We're supposed to be built out of plants. That's the foundation for the human body. Our chemistry is actually based on plant chemistry, whether we eat animals or not. The animals are based on plant chemistry. The thing that's interesting about animals is they've had to strip off all those protective nutrients to run their own body. If they're plant eaters, they're stripping off those nutrients as they should to run their own body, and we're left without those plant nutrients and with a residue of toxic contaminants, because that's what we have today in terms of industrial pollution of everything. But bottom line, what you're doing is you're repairing better. And that includes repair of the brain, repair of the circulatory system, better detoxification. In order to detoxify from toxic chemicals, our body tries to do that, particularly the liver, but it cannot do it without a wide array of plant molecules. Those are mandatory for detoxification. And so what you're doing is letting your body do all the things it knows how to do. You're giving it the toolbox. And I'm really proud of you, and I'm really glad for you. And I would say keep going.
Well, I will never dream of going a day without Juice Plus. Now I'm really talking the way I would talk, because those were all, hypothetical things, but questions that we hear from so many people. And we didn't get through all of them, but I skipped around a little bit. But Dr. Corson, thank you so much for taking this time tonight and to, helping us understand this paradigm shift in eating, and helping us especially those of us on the line who share this with our friends and our family and people we come across on a daily basis, to have that knowledge that you so beautifully can teach us to just realize this is food and it's very important. So thank you so much for that.
Welcome, Gretchen. Thank you for all that you do. And thank you for everyone who's listening, because I know it's because you care about your health, your family. If there's anything that you can take from it, that's a blessing to you. I'm so glad we're all in this together as human beings, as a civilization, and really honoring the plants as a foundation for healing is a wonderful thing. We can spread the word and help a lot of people have a better quality life.
That's the plan. Thank you so much. Thank you, and good night, everybody. Have a great evening.
Good night.